What is up? It is your allies behind enemy lines coming to you, bringing you the latest and greatest. Little pre-game preview here for our matchup of Week 2 against the Cardinals. It is September 18th, Friday. Joey, the air is still crisper. Food still tastes so beautifully. Everything in the world, colors are brighter, and everything is still so sweet after that nice little victory coming off of against the Eagles. And we told you we're gonna be celebrating this win all week, as you should. Any team,
As
I don't
we
care
should.
who you are, any team. The Patriots, their fans are celebrating their Week 1 victory. Plenty of teams across the NFL are celebrating their Week 1 victory right up until kickoff the following Sunday, and we're doing just that as well. Joey, how was your week? How was Victory Week after Sunday's whoop up of the Eagles?
It was great, just as you described. Everything's crisper, everything feels a little better, and the things that are bad don't feel that bad. Um, even more so was after we had our last show, was that night when the Giants lost and we cemented to be the only first place team. And based upon our everyone's schedule this week, regardless of what happens, we still might be that first place team. So I mean, we're in a pretty good spot right now. So everything feels really good. And yes, it's been a great week to hold our heads high for the first time in a long time.
Absolutely, it has. And not only are we celebrating our victory, but there's some people around the NFL talking about how great that front seven looked. So when we get the attention of other teams whether they're beat writers or the big analysts on your ESPNs, your NFL networks, your Fox Sports, you did something right. And one guy that did something really right, we mentioned him last week. We actually predicted this. Ryan Kerrigan, NFL Defensive Player of the Week. He got the 2 sacks to put himself as the #1 leader in sacks in franchise history. He got a big shout out from Dexter Manley. Dexter Manley said, "He's the man now. He's the man. That's who it is." And
Mm-hmm.
he obviously had the fumble recovery and some other stuff that didn't quite show up on the box score. And hats off to Ryan Kerrigan in Week 1 coming out, having a great performance. A guy that, like you said, we thought was going to take a back seat. Nuh-uh. He's NFL Defensive Player of the Week.
And the most impressive part of that is I think he played 20 plays total. I
Yeah.
mean, he was only on the field 20 plays total. Like I said, we had that rotation going with all that young talent in front of him. And like we said, we thought he was going to take a backseat. He did not, but he made the most of every single one of those plays. I'm sure a lot of those stats that don't factor in is all the pressures and all the you know the pushing the pocket and causing Carson to run into other sackers. So I guess it's all under QB pressures, but.
Mm-hmm.
Just and I'm sure not to mention that stuff that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, like the leadership and the excitement that he brings to his teammates and the rest of the line around him. So, hats off to Ryan Kerrigan, still showing he has it this many years later, and of course for being our all-time franchise leader, taking that from Dexter Manley, someone who I brought up in an earlier show, someone who I grew up watching and liking a lot. Just someone who terrorized the quarterback. But just to think that Ryan Kerrigan has done more than him is kind of mind blowing in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the fact that Ryan Kerrigan comes in and is the guy that we thought maybe a Brian Arakpo might be, or some of these other guys we've drafted. It's Ryan Kerrigan. So yeah, it's been a great career so far. Year 9 coming out. We have 5 first-round picks on defensive line, and guess who it is? It's the old man cementing NFL defensive player of the week. So you got to love that. So going into Week 2, we have the Arizona Cardinals. The new Arizona Cardinals added DeAndre Hopkins, obviously a wide receiver. Kyler Murray looked really good last week against the 49ers, a team that I wasn't expecting too much from in the Arizona Cardinals. Is kind of everyone's dark horse for this year, much like maybe the Browns were last year, where they're kind of the popular pick of, oh, this is going to be the team to watch out for. Watch out for this team. Well, if everyone's picking them to watch out for, you probably don't have to watch out for that team. You know they're coming, and that's the case this week. I think they kind of put the league on notice that with the game that they played against the 49ers last week. Kyler Murray's great performance. DeAndre Hopkins coming out Week 1 and putting up monster numbers. Put up a career day. Had the most catches he ever had. So in our season preview show, we thought, we predicted correctly that not only were we going to win Week 1 against the Eagles, but our front seven was going to dominate. It did that. Week 2, we said that we thought we were going to get a nice victory because of that patchwork offensive line with the Cardinals, which that might be a patchwork offensive line, but I think their quarterback is going to be able to move a little bit more, a little bit better for sure than Carson Wentz did Week 1.
Oh man, I mean those speed bursts that Kyler Murray was showing, the second he saw a seam or a gap in between, the guards or the tackles, the center, he was off. You know what I mean? If there was a guy 5 yards in front of him, he was off, and he was confident he was going to make that first move and make that first guy miss. And not to mention, he was avoiding big hits. And someone that size, that's really becomes crucial. And that's something that we're going to have to challenge to do is not only maintain those edges on the outsides, but maintain is the gap discipline. The gap discipline we're going to have to really keep on that defensive line. And I think last week, the big focus was just was crashing those gaps. Was just kind of just collapsing them and pushing and kind of and fill the holes. Making it kind of closing that pocket so Carson Wentz can't make those look downfield and seeing that. And I think it's a totally different game because I think Kyler Murray can get outside of that if we don't contain those outside edges. And so it's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, he showed that he could do everything last week. Not to throw it from the pocket, make those runs, get scored on his, with his arm, with his legs. Really already showed an early connection with DeAndre Hopkins. They don't have. I think their tight end is someone that they thought might have a big year this year. I think was really touted to maybe have a good year this year. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what we do there. But, Kyler Murray is going to be a whole different breed of animal that we're going to have to really be prepared for. And, I think our linebackers and our safeties are really going to have, stay disciplined and not get beat deep, not to mention get beat in front of them with him using his legs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You mentioned some of those plays. I mean, I think we use the term of guys running away from guys too often, but literally he would there'd be a 2-3 yard gap between him and the defender, and then he'd hit that extra gear, and all of a sudden he's at 5 or 6 yards of separation, Kyler Murray. So he's definitely got some acceleration that you have to be on the lookout for, that you have to make sure that you're accounting for when you are pursuing him. That there's not you don't have wide open field behind you, because if so, he's going to make you miss, and then he's going to burn you. Like you said, he did a little bit of scoring both with his arm and with his leg last week. 26 for 40, 230 yards with a passing touchdown, 13 carries for 91 yards. He's the leading rusher for the Cardinals last week, so that's kind of scary because a lot of those weren't designed runs.
Probably one of the leading rushers in the NFL, not to interrupt you right there, but that's 91 yards is a lot.
Yeah, no doubt, for sure. He did have one interception, and that's where I want to start with what I expect from the defense of Washington this week. And we're hoping to have Kendall Fuller back. I think we're going to. He practiced all day yesterday. We'll see what he does today, but if he practiced Thursday, chances are he's going to play Sunday. Thomas Davis Sr. is still questionable as well. Cole Holcomb, he's out. He's out for this week. So Kendall Fuller being in, I'm assuming I don't know what to expect from him, how healthy he will be, if he'll shadow DeAndre Hopkins or if he's just going to play the one side of the field. But obviously that's going to be the biggest thing is shutting him down. We saw guys like Jalen Reagor and Deshaun Jackson get behind the defense. If DeAndre Hopkins gets behind the defense, it's almost a wrap. You know what I mean? So if Kendall Fuller is shadowing him, let's make sure we have Apke or Landon Collins, covering over the top just to make sure he has that secondary help in addition, because he can be lethal.
He can be lethal. But one thing I think is a little different this week is those receivers you did mention that did beat us deep, Deshaun Jackson and Reagor, are all speed demons. That's their thrive on. That's their bread and butter. That's what they make their money on. Is they beat people deep and they get beat over the top, or they get the ball in open field and just make people and then just outrun the competition. DeAndre Hopkins is a different type of wide receiver. He's more physical, and he's more physical on the outside. So I think possibly having someone like Fabian Moreau, who's a more physical corner, I think shadow him might be a better option, just to be able to, because I think that he's going to tire out these other guys. I think he might tire out Kendall Fuller and Kendall Fuller is more, I think, more going to be more of using like zone schemes, I guess, on him. I wouldn't see him playing him manned up. But I think Fabian Moreau is someone that probably could get that done. Jimmy Moreland probably could do the same job. So maybe we don't change our scheme at all and just play the way we've been playing, because both of them show that they can be physical, aren't afraid to go up and fight for that ball, which is what DeAndre Hopkins does. He goes and gets that ball. So we have corners that are going to do the same thing and that can maintain, a physical, can maintain the physical game with him and not avoid contact and give him chucks once he's going up the field and put him off his routes and get him any way, between that ball and him. I think we're going to stand a chance to shutting him, not saying shutting him down, but holding him below 14 catches.
Yeah, I mean, don't get it twisted though, because Nuke will blow by you too. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
he will run by you. We've seen plenty of times when he was with the Texans and he had 10 or 15 yards of separation, whether it was blown coverage or whatever it was, and Deshaun Jackson would just have to lay it up there for him. So I think you're right, where we do have to take the physicality into account for sure. But I still think we do need to be careful with that speed. I don't think he should be single covered. I think we should always have safety help on him. A guy that I thought was going to have a better year this year with DeAndre Hopkins. Now it's only been 1 week. It was Christian Kirk. He's kind of the slot guy there, with Fitz being the number two. I think he only had one catch for like 5 yards last week. Didn't have a huge game. So he's kind of your typical shifty slot guy. But if we can kind of, like you said, their tight end Max Williams, he's questionable to play right now. He did have a touchdown last week. We mentioned wrapping up our post game show after the Eagles win was obviously we got burned by Dallas Goedert. 101 receiving yards. Zach Ertz had a couple catches in there as well. But the linebackers covering the tight ends is going to be the main focus. Well, we got to shift that focus, I think, 100% to wide receiver this week. We got to cover the outside and make sure that Jalen Ramsey, that's weird. Kyler Murray doesn't burn us with his legs. I think if we make him a pocket passer, make him stand back there and chuck it around. He threw the ball 40 times. So obviously last week. So obviously they're not afraid to let him throw. But I think the more we make him throw, the more prone to mistakes he is to making, and I think that'll play right into our hands of our defense. No pun intended.
I totally agree with you there. One thing also to take into consideration is their running game kind of mirrors Philadelphia's, where you really have more of a RPO style. Going to have a guy who wants to go out there and catch, a more versatile back there in Kenyon Drake. And so I think, but what really made us successful in that second half was that pressure that we really put on that offensive line and the quarterback, and kind of, I want to say jumping the gun, but really pressuring those plays and getting in there and breaking up those screens and outside passes and whatnot. So I think we could take that same type of intensity and really just push, and not kind of this sit and wait for Kyler Murray to pick us apart, but really could force him and push the pace of the plays. I think that we will have an advantage there, because we're gonna he's gonna have to check down really fast, and and we have guys stepping up there and covering their guys tight. We can get 1 or 2 picks. We can really get him behind the 8 ball. So I think that defensively, I think that pressure is going to be key. Even though we know we can beat him with his legs, we want to force his decision making. We want to make his decision making get sped up. So any way we can do that, which I think pressure is probably going to be the best way, because I think Kyler, once he looks up and doesn't see that he's going to be able to throw the ball, his next thought's going to go to running the ball. And there's a few guys on our team that I think they're going to be able to tackle him one-on-one on defense. And so, especially our linebacker core, I don't think we have a lot of speed there, especially with Cole Holcomb being out. So it's going to be hard to find someone to really mirror him. Landon Collins is the only one that mirrors that comes to my mind of someone that's going to have to come play close to the line if we're going to try to combat those legs in those situations.
Yeah, 100%. I think if any of our front four are going to be able to track him down, if it's not a sack in the pocket, it's going to be Chase Young or Montez Sweat. As big as those guys are, they can still move. But Kyler Murray is sick. Like I said, he has that extra gear where he can turn it on and just get away from guys. Their rushing attack is nothing to turn your nose up at either. Kenyon Drake had 16 rushes for 60 yards and a touchdown. Chase Edmonds, 6 rushes, 26 yards, still a 4.3 average against a pretty good 49ers defense. You know what I mean? So we got to make sure that we hold that in check as well. I think this is going to be a great matchup for us. 2 young and up-and-coming teams that have a lot of weapons, both offensively. Not a ton of defensive weapons there for the Cardinals. Obviously, they have Chandler Jones, Patrick Peterson, guys like that. Budda Baker, who they just signed to a big contract. So they have some guys that can make plays on defense as well. Jordan Hicks, shout out. He's on the Arizona defense as well. And then obviously their top pick, Isaiah Simmons. We'll see what he can bring. He had 3 solo tackles last week. Didn't have any sacks or anything. We'll see what I'll be interested to see and actually watch to see how they use him, Isaiah Simmons, because I wasn't super locked into that Cardinals game last week. So I think this is going to be a good test just to kind of see where we line up. Obviously, the Cardinals aren't going to be contending for a Super Bowl this year. Maybe they will. Who knows? But as of right now, it's a game that's I think it's going to be strength versus strength and weakness versus weakness, where our offense is the passing game isn't the best right now. I'm interested to see how we attack the running game offensively. I still think Antonio Gibson should be given a few more carries than he was last week, but especially that front four of the Cardinals isn't super strong. I think if we can establish a run game early, it's going to help Dwayne Haskins a ton. And he's a guy that I think we should get it going a little bit more this week.
He definitely needs to get it going a little bit more. And I know, and who most needs to get it going on the offensive side of the ball is our left side of the line. I don't know if you saw that Pro Football Focus stat that they were the lowest rated. It was like dead last left side of the ball. The pressure we got on that side, and they have a great pass rusher there. The only guy that's had more sacks since being drafted, since Ryan Kerrigan, is Chandler Jones. So that's the only. So they definitely got a dominant pass rusher on that side of the ball, and depending on which side he lines up on, which I think primarily is the left side.
Yeah.
Or no, it is the right side. He's a right outside linebacker.
The right side, the right side of the defense, left side of the offense.
Yeah. So he is going to be right there with our, Jerron Christian, our rookie, or not rookie, but young left tackle. So hopefully he gets some help there. Hopefully we get some, some backs in there to help block, to save that blind side. But I think Isaiah Simmons was brought in primarily because I think Cardinals had the worst against tight end defense. I think they wanted to have a big safety that can cover tight end. Someone like George Kittle in their division, and players like that. So I think he's going to be matched up really good with. I think Logan Thomas had a really breakout week last week. Not to mention he had a touchdown catch. He had some big third down conversions. They threw a couple screen passes to him. Look, they definitely shown that they're going to use him as a big part of our offense. So I think that's, the matchup with him, and I guess Isaiah Simmons will probably be the one that they're going to bring in the box to probably try to cover him. That's going to be an interesting matchup. They're both big, 6'4", 6'5" guys. And so it's going to be some good matchups across that line. Now, the running attack that you said, I hope that they can pound it as well. I think they really can, like you said, that patchwork defensive line besides Chandler Jones. Peyton Barber can hit some holes there, can soften them up, and then we can start, slicing them up with Gibson. I think that we can get a good 1-2 combo going there. And so it's going to be very interesting to see if, how much time they give Dwayne Haskins and if the run blocking is there. That's questions we got to answer.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. 100% agree. The more we can get that running game going, the earlier. It obviously opens up the passing game. That's anybody across the NFL, but I think it'll really help for Dwayne Haskins. And we saw when we can start running a little tempo, run some play action, things like that. He really gets in a rhythm and can start cooking with this offense. So I think Logan Thomas, we should have seen, or we knew that whoever was playing tight end, whoever it ended up being, was going to have a big impact, because we saw Greg Olsen do the same in the Panthers offense with Scott Turner. So, good that they're getting him involved early. I think that'll open up some of the outside stuff a little bit more as well. Terry McLaurin, decent game last week, 6 catches. They really tried to get him involved early. So, as long as we can keep doing that, get to your bread and butter, get to your bread. That, the Cardinals are going to feed DeAndre Hopkins. If we can get Scary Terry, Touchdown Terry involved, I think that's going to be, a huge part there. Obviously, like I said, when your best players make plays, you're going to have some success. So, that's what we're hoping for here. So give us your official week 2 prediction here, Joe. What do you think is going to happen here?
When we made our season predictions, what was it, last week or a week? It was last week. It was a week ago.
Yeah.
We didn't, like I said, there are still a lot of question marks on this Cardinals team. I think a lot of us looking towards that game easily picked the 49ers at home against them. Now that game being played and knowing that, Kyler Murray and the instant chemistry he had with DeAndre Hopkins, and, it's going to be a closer ball game than I probably would have gave us credit for. I thought we were going to, maybe, have some momentum coming off this win, and which we do have. But I still think that we can go in there and take the victory. I still think that we can shock the NFL right now. And, and Kyle Brandt said it the best, I think, this morning. He said, if the Washington football team goes into Arizona and beats this team, who are all starting to praise all of a sudden after they beat, the 49ers, that is the biggest story in football right now. Nothing else.
Wow.
To be overcome with what's going on, Tom Brady, he's all Cam Newton aside, yeah. Tom Brady aside, yeah. From what the Washington football franchise has been under for, the last, year, easily, with the name change, with the controversies, with the new coach, with the coach having cancer, with losing your running back to, domestic violence, to trading away your, future Hall of Famer running back, and they can go into a team and beat the team like that, they are going to be the number 1 story in the NFL. And I think that our team has confidence, and I think that things like that don't appear on stat sheets or predictions, or don't factor into over and unders and all that. And I can look at our team right now and look at it as a team that wants to win more than the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, ready to run through a brick wall after that. I mean, I think what we heard from Dwayne Haskins last week when he gave his halftime speech of saying we're not that team anymore. That's not who we are anymore. This is a new leaf. We turn over a new leaf. This new franchise, new leadership, everything. I think that's kind of what everyone else is feeling too in that locker room. At least I hope. But yeah, I agree. I'm gonna stick by it. I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm not gonna waver. The line is 6.5. The Cardinals are actually laying 6.5 points. So I think that's massive. That's a massive spread. We saw it last week. Even if we lose, I don't think we're going to lose by a touchdown. But I say the I say the Washington football team wins outright. And as long as that defense can keep rolling and we can keep Kyler Murray under wraps, I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be great, for this team going in the right direction, going into week 3, and just continue on to the season, the rest of the season. One thing I wanted to touch on real quick, JP Finley tweeted this out earlier. The first 15 games of these 3 guys' career, Larry Fitzgerald, first 15 games of his career, 55 receptions, 744 yards, 8 touchdowns. Pretty good. DeAndre Hopkins, 48 catches, 767 yards, 2 touchdowns. So a few less catches, few more yards, not quite as many touchdowns. Terry McLaurin, 63 catches, 980 yards, 7 touchdowns. Massive. Huge. I mean, 2 of the top. Larry Fitzgerald, one of the best receivers we've ever seen. DeAndre Hopkins, when he finishes it up, could be in that conversation. He's in the conversation of one of the best in the league right now. And Terry McLaurin topping both those guys right now in catches and yards, 1 less touchdown than Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, I don't like reading too much into numbers like that, but sheesh.
And none of these guys, none of those guys that first year were playing with Joe Montana. So to say that they, to each get those stats and be comparative is saying a lot in itself. And I think Terry McLaurin is just, barely even recognizing his own potential. And I think the whole, he's going to be in that class here in the next year or so as the elite receivers in the NFL. Just one of those all-around guys that just finds, like DeAndre Hopkins, just finds a way to make plays and finds the way to get the ball in his hands. And it can be exciting. It can score on any given play. So that is an interesting stat there. And I know that Chase Young was our top-rated, Pro Football Focus top-rated rookie last week of all positions. And I think that as long as that defensive line, I mean, it all goes with our defense. As long as our defense can keep up that whatever that was, I didn't know you want to call that last week. That was just insanity what they turned into. If they can keep that up, I mean that's like some Ravens 85 Bears style aggression on defense at a certain point where there was one guy getting the sack, but there was 5 guys right there. You know what I mean? It was like, who you get? It wasn't like one guy grabbing one leg. It was a guy about to get mauled by 5 guys, each time. They were meeting at the quarterback. And, and as anyone that's ever competed or played, football or any sport, when you're in that zone and you're able to dominate at that level, you can only imagine the feeling it is. So, that's just, we're all gonna, we're gonna go as far as that defense carries us. We're gonna go as far as that defense carries us. That offense is gonna get better each and every week. All we got to do is not regress, and I think we're gonna see some success in these upcoming weeks.
Absolutely, and one last thing I want to add to that about that front 4. I guess you can say the front 6, all 6 guys that got a sack, was they were so smart when they got around the quarterback. Like there was one play where Ryan Kerrigan kind of pinned Carson Wentz's arm against his body so he couldn't make the throw that we've seen where, guys are hanging all over him. He still makes the throw. Chase Young, he had a nose for the ball. Obviously, he swiped the ball away and got a forced fumble one play. I mean, there's so many guys that once they're around the quarterback is not only hit the quarterback, but make sure that he's not getting rid of that ball either. So that's going to be huge. I can't wait. Last thing before we wrap up here that I really loved, and I hope we continue seeing it. We talked about it earlier. It was the secondary. Those interceptions by Jimmy Moreland and Fabian Monroe. Those are plays that seasons before it's like we don't make those plays. Like the one interception. We
drop them.
Yeah, the one interception. Who had the first interception? Was it Fabian?
Fabian Moreau, I think, had the first one, and Jimmy Moreland.
Okay, so then maybe it was the second one where Jimmy Moreland just absolutely read the route the entire way, undercuts the wide receiver, and just makes it an amazing pick. So if we can keep up play like that and keep seeing guys make plays like that, the sky's the limit for this defense and for this team. This team, I think, goes as the defense goes. And as long as they're playing well and they're holding the guys, it's going to be easy for Dwayne Haskins to hand the ball off or just play pitch and catch with whatever weapon he'd like to use right now. So we're both saying another victory for the Washington football team, coming out 2-0, just like we predicted 2 weeks ago. And we're going to keep this thing rolling.
We're going to keep it rolling. And you brought it up right there. That secondary plays like that, they can match up against any wide receiver duo. It's about being aggressive. It's about going after that ball. It's about being locked in, playing your role. And and like you said, in seasons past, those would have been dropped interceptions. Those would have been guys running through the ball and missing it completely, and then that eagle catching it and running all the way for a touchdown. That's that's usually what we'd be doing. And so our team's already showing us that again. Like Haskins said in the speech last weekend, we are not that same team. We are not those guys. We are a different team. We have a different helmet on. We have they're a different team. And this team, which we still love and which we still support, is going to show us that they're going to defy the odds. And they are going to be the #1 talk football come Monday morning.
Absolutely, 1,000%. All right, well, that'll do it for us for this week preview against the Cardinals. We got, like I said, a big matchup. If we can win it, we're going to be at the front of the front of everyone's eyes in the NFL. So like I said earlier, I'll give you this at the end of every preview. Redskins or Washington football team plus 6.5. Go ahead and take that. We got the total at 46.5. I like the over 46.5. I think it's going to be another 27-20 game, maybe a 30-27 game. I think there's going to be a lot of points with both these teams. And a lot of our points, I think, are going to be generated from turnovers, much like it was last week. So hopefully we're celebrating again on Monday afternoon with you. Take this. Let's keep playing. Let's keep playing hard, and we'll rock it out. Joey?
Well, we got this, guys. We got this. The rest of the division is going to lose, and we're going to be up 2 games. Let's start believing. And the more we believe, the more they believe, the more it will be. 2-0. Let's get this done.
Right on.
Thank you for watching / listening to our podcast again this week, guys. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe to this channel. Please like this video. Leave a comment so we know that you're out there and give us any questions you might have. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, please give us that 5-star review. Subscribe to us. You can hit us up on any of our media outlets. We got Twitter. We got Facebook. /allies BEL. Thank you all for your support, and remember, we are your allies behind enemy lines. Have a great weekend. We got this victory.